in this situation in our modern times where people just quickly jump from one relationship to another to escape the pain that they have refused to confront with themselves.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, testament to you. This is why you're so great and good at what you do, is that you can take something that you're working on or a concept and, simplify it and explain it in a way that resonates with everybody. I think everything you said is 100% correct. And I think people that are listening right now, it resonates with them and it makes sense to them. So, like, definitely make sure you guys put a little fire in the chat. All right. Because it's 100%. Right. And so we're like, people nowadays, right, tend to be, we're all like drug addicts as the way I see it. We're all drug addicts just trying to avoid pain and chase pleasure with no awareness of what we're doing. And it's so when you say the words endure, that's a real it's a important message that a lot of people may have taken the wrong way on podcasts and bullshit like that. But the reality is, it's an important message because people don't have, you're making a valid point, which people don't have the discipline or will like they maybe once had before, with easy access to everything they need at their fingertips and, digital addiction and some of these things. They don't have this ability to be resilient. Most people are not resilient. And so they don't know how to really embrace the pain and use it to their advantage, which is a talent and a skill set. And instead, what they do is they're just trying to avoid it and they're trying to chase pleasure and they're trying to protect their egos, protect their identity. I want to see myself as a good person. I want to see myself as the person that's, the right person in all this with my breakup. So, they're just trying to avoid facing, the consequences of their actions, facing that accountability, and they're just racing into the next thing, trying to figure out like what's going to make this feel better. Okay, we just broke up. Well, I'm going to go get drunk, and then I'm going to go find another chick to bang, or then I'm going to do this, and and they're not doing what's critical to getting better outcomes in their life, which is facing themselves and making fundamental changes down to a deep level so that their behaviors, emotional responses, and ways of thinking are fundamentally different going forward. You're not going to get different results doing the same thing. That's the definition of insanity, as people may have already heard. And so by just avoiding the pain and chasing pleasure, you're not fixing or changing anything about yourself. You're just reacting to the world based on how you feel and pushing yourself into doing whatever the next thing is. And it's total insanity because you're not going to even by chance get a better outcome. Like if a guy doesn't make himself better from his previous relationship, or a girl for that matter, their only option is to end up in the same relationship. It may look different, may have a different face, different name to it, may have, maybe some of the problems this guy or this girl has, your next girl has, are a little different than the old one, but fundamentally they're all these problems. And the reason why is because what hasn't changed is you. We're ultimately a product of what our value is in the marketplace in some ways. And so like you don't find that better girl and you don't have that better relationship unless you're a better person with better relationship skills. And so if you don't take the time after a breakup to really evaluate yourself
Yeah.
and look yourself in the mirror and look at the parts of you that you might be hard to look at, that you're ashamed of, that you feel like, man, I'm stupid for having put up with that, or I'm stupid for not having seen that, or I'm stupid for having reacted that way, or I shouldn't have done that, or whatever. Most guys will do that and shame themselves, then not change anything, and then just jump in bed with another girl. They don't fix anything, And so looking at these things and picking apart without without judgment and shame, but with accountability. That means, okay, yep, I did those things. That means what does it tell me about myself? And where did I go wrong? And how can I, you know, create the conditions to do better next time? What do I need to be aware of? What things do I need to sort of fix? And this time of pain and breaking the attachment. And that's another thing guys don't do is they don't spend time after a breakup breaking the attachment to the old girl, which
How do
means
you do that?
yeah. So how you do that, I mean, there's ways to do it quickly, there's ways to do it slow. Okay. Now, when I'm doing it with a client or when I'm doing it with a guy, it's like 6 weeks. And then in 2 months, he could be dating again. Now a
Do
guy
you
may,
recommend that 2 months dating again?
if he's healed and if he's got, and so different people will have different outcomes and things that they're doing. Like it
Dude,
might not,
I'm at the point right now that I want to be fucking, I don't know if I could date for like a year. Like
yeah,
date, go out and have sex, sure, that's easy
yeah,
by me.
right.
But I mean, like to entertain a potential option right now, that is just like traumatizing for me to even calculate
Right.
that right now. I like I need to go to a monastery and
Yeah.
and fucking pray to God for 6 months to clean myself out,
Well, right. So here's and this is what I mean. This is why it's different for each person in a sense because you have increased your value like astronomically. And I mean not just like with tangible things, but intangible things, inner game stuff. You've increased your value so much in the past year that you haven't had the opportunity to realize and experience that value in that new version of yourself as a single person without being in the framework of a relationship. And so for you, yeah, I'm not saying when I say 2 months, I don't mean jumping into a new relationship in 2 months. That's
right,
actually really bad advice. I mean,
right, right,
like,
right,
but being over the old one and ready to see girls again without bringing toxic baggage to the table. If someone does like really concentrated focus work, 6 weeks to 8 weeks, they could be going on, you know, they could take a girl out or sleep with a girl or have a casual relationship. They could start things up again and sort of have things happen without, bringing the baggage to the table. It doesn't mean getting into a new relationship right away, but just means that, you could start seeing girls again, knowing that you're not attached to the old girl and you're not attached to the behaviors that you had that weren't productive or good from the past relationships. And so your explanation was pretty good of what most people do. And this is especially, I mean, both men and women do it, right? But it's like they get all this baggage from a relationship they're in, and the baggage is maladaptive or bad reactions based on their own flaws and the things that this other person's doing, and those things, of course, are based on their flaws. So you got two flawed people putting their flaws together and reacting poorly to those flaws, right? And that becomes your new framework now for interacting with women. And so that is essentially like the baggage, right? All the insecurities, all the emotional reactions, all the bullshit. That's the baggage. It just piles up. And then what most guys do is they drag all that into their next relationships dating other women. And then they get into a new relationship without having fixed stuff. They add more baggage to it. And then it's let's drag all that bullshit. And they keep doing that. When we see like cranky older guys who are basically MGTOWed completely out and don't care about women, just want to go fishing, that's because probably their baggage is so big that they are just through and done relationships. They've done with it, right? Like they've gotten so much baggage from dealing with, all of women's crap. But really it's not that. It's dealing with their own crap with women. That is the
mhm,
problem. And so their baggage is so big that they're just like, if I yeah, they're jaded and cranky about the sexual marketplace. Or you get women who are just completely jaded, completely like I'm done putting effort into anything. I'm 42 years old. I've had my divorce and I've had my kids and I just don't care. And then they show up and they all get into relationships with other people who are unaware and just end up being terrible relationship partners. because they never sort out their and they never leave and get rid of this baggage. They just carry it with them for the rest of their lives. And so there's two components. There's the baggage, the things about you that you need to fix, and then there's the attachment to the old partner. If you are having a good relationship with somebody, you have a neurochemical association to that person. They're the source of your sexual, pleasure, needs, attraction, desire. They're also the source of that attachment, that oxytocin, that vasopressin, that feeling good, and feeling in love stuff, right? And so when a breakup happens, and this is especially for you guys who get broken up with, your immediate answer needs to be working on breaking that association of that girl being the source of the neurochemical love feelings. You need to work on breaking that right away. But Paul, what if I want to get my ex back? Here's the funny thing about that.
Don't do it.
Not only shouldn't you, but
don't do it.
Here's the thing for guys who can't take the advice or that's they're not ready for that. The funny part is getting a girl back, we'll say, that only can work if it's a brand new relationship and you're a brand new person essentially, and you're starting from scratch, which means this process of getting over her,
she can't affect another guy either.
Well, no, that's another thing. But this process of getting over her with a relationship is at its demise, even if it hasn't officially been broken up yet. Even like guys who are married and it's like on the brink, like the relationship's broken, they're just still married and figuring out if they're going to really divorce or not. Like those guys in that position, you got to break the neurochemical attachment. And when you do that, that gives you your frame back. You probably lost it somewhere. Most guys, not necessarily you in your situation, John, but most guys lose the frame too. And so you probably lost frame. You probably lost your mental point of origin. You definitely lost your sense of identity separate from this person. So you want to get that stuff back. You want to break this attachment. And then if for that married guy where it's almost broken, if it's going to work out and you're going to reattract that partner, it's because you've done that work and now you have your frame back and you can show up and be that attractive option again, right? That's not trapped into this dynamic where she sees you as, not as valuable in all this, right? And so the irony is guys who want to get the ex back, the answer is the same as it would be for the guys who want to move on. You actually
don't do it.
But you shouldn't do it. And I'm going to say not to do it. And that is the advice. But that's all this get your ex back stuff, which is so popular on the internet and programs. And all that. It's sad. And it's also a grift. It's a lot of bullshit, because they're still coming from the place of being attached to this person.